Our final inductee, Glenn Buzz Wilson, class of 1950, athlete. Buzz earned 9 varsity letters as he excelled in football, basketball, and track while attending Whitefish Bay High School. He played on 3 conference football championships, including his senior year when as quarterback he was named Milwaukee Area Player of the Year and was a member of the All-State team. Buzz played scholarship football at the University of Wisconsin for 5 seasons, earning 2 letters as a defensive back, quarterback, and kicker. He quarterbacked his Marine-based teams to 2 Marine Corps championships. Buzz was a state champion twice in the high jump and placed twice in the hurdles. He helped the track team win state championships all 4 years. He also won multiple conference championships in both the low and high hurdles and the high jump. In basketball, Buzz started for 2 years and was one of the leading rebounders and scorers. Buzz was a strong leader as he was co-captain of both the football and track teams and was also elected junior class president. Following service in the Marines, Buzz was a resident of Whitefish Bay for over 60 years, with his children and grandchildren also graduating from Whitefish Bay High School. Buzz Wilson.
My wife made me get a haircut, and I didn't know it was 2 for 1. They greased it all. I feel like I'm back in the Marine Corps. But, at any rate, I'd like to do a lot of thanking myself, because if you get in this kind of a position, you never did it alone. Never was on your own. You realize that, and I certainly do. And I, first of all, want to thank my mother and dad for living in the Bay and letting me be able to attend Whitefish Bay High School. I mean, that was a tremendous advantage. The education I got, I was able to get a college education out of it, and it was a tremendous place to go to school. And we do a little work in that Boys and Girls Club, and to be able to speak English is very, very important to me. You don't realize how important it is until you start working with some of these kids. And they don't really, and to try and correct them is very hard because of the fact that their parents are speaking the way they speak. And so I want to thank my parents a lot. My dad used to play catch with me all the time. My mother, I can't thank enough. She was told that one of us wouldn't make it when I was born. And she had the guts enough to go ahead and have me. And so here I am, and I was only 4 pounds after 9 months of her pregnancy, and 2 months in the incubator. So I made it. So it was really helpful, and I'll tell you what happened on the way and give you just go through a little bit of some of the stuff that we did. When I was in 4th grade, the biggest person to affect my life was a guy by the name of Florent called Ket. And he was a Phi Ed teacher, and he, 2 things he told you to do. First of all, he said, get an attitude. You gotta have an attitude. If you don't have an attitude, all of this stuff's gonna be incidental, and so I got an attitude. The second thing he did, he said, was you should dance with girls. I did that, and it's worked great. I'm very, very happy. Beautiful wives, and blessed, and so forth. Anyway, so, and he was our freshman football coach. We came in, with Mike Chinian, and I want to thank my friend Tom Drought, because of the fact that he's the guy that nominated me. There's no way in the world I'd be here today without his putting my name in there. So I thank you publicly, Tom, for it and all the effort. And I want to thank my friends that are here. They wrote letters for me. And I don't know what they said in them, but it worked. So I appreciate it very, very much. But when you have friends like that, why, that go back, And my look back, John's a little longer than yours. I go back, we're now 80 years old, so we got a long look back. But when you have, lifelong friends like that, boy, it's tremendous. And but we had a freshman undefeated football team, and we had Paul Humke was our basketball coach. And those are the guys I want to thank, all these coaches if I can. And certainly I want to thank John, before I forget it, for all the work he does and the committee. It's awfully great honor, and I appreciate it very, very much. So I want to make sure I do that before I forget it. But when we had Mike, some of my friends here, for instance, Bill Crowley came in the high school at 5 feet. He was a peanut. But Paul Humke could see the attitude, and he kept him on the team. Bill graduated at 6 feet 1, and he was all suburban basketball player. So those are the kind of coaches that we had. That's the reason I brought that up. But we had terrific athletes, and I was lucky to be with them. That's how I got half the stuff that I was able to do. They did the hard work, and I ended up getting the ink, and I would have been zipped without, So we were really lucky that we had such a tremendous group of athletes. And a story that I should tell you, I think, is that we had a situation. You lived in the Bay. If you lived there, you understand how it is. And we had myself on Larkin Street, 4857 North Larkin Street. And across the street was Paul Hickey, one of my best lifelong friends. And then across the street from that, one house up from me, was Jim Masker. We used to call him the Indian, because he was a big, tall, good-looking guy, and also a crew cut. Anyways, there were 3 of us, and it's a very unusual situation. We all 3 made the varsity football team as sophomores. We ended up getting 3 conference championships. We all 3 made the all-conference teams as seniors. We all 3 were on the all-state team as seniors. So it was a very, very unusual situation. And but because of these guys, why we were able to do this all, because they were really good athletes. And they helped out tremendously. And so I thank them. And Hick was my roommate in college. He had a scholarship to Wisconsin along with me, and was one of the best high school guards that you'd ever want to see. He took a handoff one day from West Dallas Central's quarterback. That's the truth. But he was a terrific football player, and we were really lucky to play together. But when you have a group like that, we were co-captains of the football team together, and then Jim and I were co-captains of the track team, and it was, I think it was really an unusual situation. But down the block, another half block down, was where Jeffrey Hunter came from, a movie star. He was Henry McKinney's, and he lived down on Larkin Street. So it was a great place to live, but I want to thank my parents again for that. And I certainly wanted to point out that my kids went to Whitefish Bay. They're here, and I'm very proud of the 3 of them. John played football and basketball and baseball, and Colleen played tennis and basketball. She won a state championship in the doubles. And Lisa isn't here, and she won a runner-up situation in the doubles and tennis, and played basketball for Coach Nagel. And they were to the state team, and so I was proud of them. But the main thing to get across to you is that they went to Whitefish Bay, got a great education, because the school is such a wonderful place to go to, and all 3 graduated from the U of A of Arizona. So I was very, very proud of my kids. And they're 2 two of them are there. If they'll stand up, they can. But I'll tell you another story about Hick. We didn't have cars, you know, in those days. We walked to the games. We didn't, you know, ours don't save your energy or anything. We had to walk 4 or 5 blocks to get over there to play. We'd be walking along, and Jim and I would come out, and we'd get with Hick, and he'd be eating a peanut butter sandwich. We're going over to play a game. You figure, you know, we'd be drinking tea or something to get ready, so we weren't over, you know, too full or anything. But he wouldn't even know who we were playing, where they stood, whether they were good or bad or yeah. So, and then another. I got 2 more things I'll tell you. We used to play knee football too on the boulevards when we were, and the guys least expected to be the best players, you had to play on your knees. And you go around, and we had Sidney Crowley, which was one of the greatest knee football players of all time. But we used to play Cumberland Boulevard. The Diamonds here, and we had, I can tell you about the time my last play as a football player for Whitefish Bay. We were playing Tosa for the championship, and we were ahead 14-7, and the game was coming down to the last few seconds of the ball game. So we were going to run it out and stall it out. It was on about the 10-yard line, our own 10-yard line. And all of a sudden, we run the quarterback sneak. And the thing pops open, and I'm off, and I'm running, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to go 90 yards for a touchdown on my last play of my high school career. And all of a sudden, unbeknownst to me, this kid came off the bench and clobbered me. Just clobbered me. And I'm laying on the ground, and Joe Conway, the official, comes up and he starts laughing at me. He says, well, we can't do anything about it. He said, at least you won the championship. But that I remember it's my last play in high school. We really had great teams in those days, and I think that if I were to, one other thing that I could mention too, and this is of interest, is due to Larkin Street again. When we played, it was the first year of television, basically, around 47. Is when the thing started to come in. So what they did was, they had the games at Whitefish Bay High School were televised, the high school games. And this was a big deal at that time. You had to go to the game at about 2 hours before the game started because you wouldn't get a seat otherwise. You get 5,000 to 6,000 people around these high school fields because it was the biggest game in town. They hadn't had a chance to look at the Packers. The Packers were drawing 1,500 people at the county fairgrounds in those days. And so what happened was that we had the games televised, and I happened to be a tailback at that time in our Wisconsin box, and every time the ball was snapped, why they would come to the tailback, and of course they have to mention my name. So, but the thing that was good about it was Larry Clark lived a house up from Hickey's on Market Street, and he was the play-by-play guy. We used to play tag football together in the streets, you know, with him, and so he'd give us a lot of recognition because we were good friends, you know. But at any rate, to make a long story short, I am very, very proud to be here, and I want to thank my buddies for all that they did, and John for his efforts to get this thing together and started, and it's truly a great honor. And I was very, very proud, always have been, always will be, to have graduated from Whitefish Bay High School. Thank you.